All right, on to the back. So we are just going to be simplifying here. We've got a polynomial being added to another polynomial. So we're just going to find like terms and combine them. So we got to go one at a time. You can only combine things that have the same power. So I'm going to start with the highest powers first so that they're in the right order when I grab them. So a 4 minus a 6 is a negative 2k to the fourth. And then I don't have a third power, so my squareds, that's a minus 1. So negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8k squared. And then all that's left are my whole numbers. That's a negative 5 and a negative 4, which is negative 9. All right, before I get to the minus ones, let's do one more of these. So highest power here is a fourth power, and so that's going to be 11x to the fourth. Then I've got thirds, a 4 and a minus 2, so it's going to be a positive 2x to the third. I've got a negative 7x, and then nothing over here with an x, so that's just going to stay. And then I have an 8 and a minus 1. That's a positive 7, so I write plus 7. All right. Now, for these with the minus, I need to distribute it before I can start combining like terms. So it's a negative 1 times negative 6, that's positive 6. Negative 1 times negative 8, that's positive 8. Negative 1 times positive 2, that's negative 2. And then bring everything down. All right, now I'm going to find my highest powers and start combining. So third power looks like, fourth power would be the highest. And that's the only fourth power, so that's going to stay. And then third power, 7. And 8. And just looking at the answer key, I don't think that's right. So this is my end of the third. This becomes a... Oh, I'm the one that's not looking at it right because it's not an 8. It's the 6 with the end of the third. Okay, so I double check it. All right, so 7 plus 6, that's a positive 13 n to the third. Then I have this n to the second. And I've got this n to the second. Both positives, so you add them together, that's 12n squared. And then this minus 2 doesn't have anything to combine with, so there we go. All right, next one. Bringing this down, no changes here. And then distributing everything with a negative 1. So negative 7b, negative 5b to the fourth, negative 2, negative 6b to the third. Okay, I see a fourth and a fourth, so 8 minus 5, that's a 3b to the fourth. I see a negative 8 third and a negative 6, so that's negative 14b to the third. I don't see a second. I do see b's here. A 4 minus 7, that's negative 3b. And then a 1 and a minus 2 is a negative 1, so minus 1. All right, so next section. Similar idea, but now we are looking for the missing piece that when added to what's given to us would produce this answer. All right, so let's start with what we get here. We got a 4m to the fourth. We didn't have any m to the fourth in the first part of this, so we must have all of it in the second one, 4m to the fourth. For the squared, I do have a negative 4, and I have to get all the way to a 7. Okay, so to get from negative 4 to 0 would be 4 spots, going up 4. And then I got to go all the way up to 7, another 7 spots. So 7 and 4, I have to add 11m squared to get from negative 4 up 11 to positive 7. Next up would be my m. I went from a positive m to a negative 5. That's going down 6m. And I was at 7, and now I'm at 10, so I added 3. All right, next one. 4r to the fourth was already here, so that means there's no r to the fourth term in this one. Let me cross that out. 6r to the third. Here's my r to the third, so that means I had to add 4 to it. So 4r to the third. I had an r to the second, and now it's gone completely. So that means I must have taken the opposite of it. So minus 3r squared canceled it out. Then a negative 10r from a negative 7, that's going down 3, so minus 3r. And I don't have any whole numbers here, but in the end I ended up with a plus 2, so there was a plus 2 here. All right, 28 and 29, we're going to actually solve these now. So we're going to have to use these simplifying skills first and then solve after that. So here we go. Left side, we're going to combine. That is 4a squared. The a's are going to cancel completely. And then negative 36. Okay. I'm going to add 36 to both sides. Notice that I didn't jump right into quadratic formula. You can, and you'll get the right answer if you do it correctly. But this is a case, because the a's are eliminated altogether, I can solve this like a normal equation. Divide by 4. A squared equals 9. Take the square root, and a equals positive or negative 3. Let's say you did use quadratic formula. So that means your a was 4. Your b would have to be 0 because it's gone. And your c is negative 36. If you plug all that in, you will get down to plus or minus negative 3. So just for the sake of showing it, negative b would be 0 plus or minus 0 squared, which is 0, minus 4 times a, which is 4 times c, negative 36. So 0 minus 4 times 4, nope, I put plus. 0 minus 4 times negative 36. It's 576. And all of that would be over 2 times 4. So we end up with 0 plus or minus square root 576. 2 times 4 would be 8. And when you square root 576, you get 24. So it's 0 plus or minus 24 over 8. Positive 24 divided by 8 is positive 3. Negative 24 divided by 8 is negative 3. So I got the same answer, but this is way simpler. So if either your a's or your a squareds clear out, solve it like a normal equation. Save you a lot of time. All right, over here, first things first, I need to distribute. So I'm bringing this down. That's a negative 2n squared. That's a negative 2n, and a negative times a negative is a positive 4. Now I need to combine like terms. So combining this and this, that's a positive 2n squared. I have a negative 2n that doesn't have anything to combine with. And a negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So I did not clear out the n squared of the n, which means I do need to use quadratic formula. So a equals 2, b equals negative 2, and c equals negative 4. So negative b would be negative negative 2, which will become positive, plus or minus. B squared, that's 4, or negative 2 squared. Now, if you're going to put negative 2 squared in your calculator, like I've been harping on, make sure you put it in parentheses when you raise it. So that's why I just do it in my head, so I don't even have to worry about that. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 4, over 2 times a, which is 2. All right, so in those parentheses, 4 minus 4 times 2 times negative 4 is 36. 2 negatives become a positive 2. Square root of 36 over 4. Square root of 36 is 6. And let's see. We're going to split this into two pieces. 2 plus 6 over 4. 2 minus 6 over 4. So I get negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. And I get 8 over 4, which is 2. So my two answers here are 2 and -1. All right, a lot of work on those. Got to make sure we keep all our negatives and everything else straight. Okay, last section. Just distributing. After we've gone through 11.4, this should feel really easy because it's going the opposite direction. Not really much thinking involved. You don't have to figure stuff out. You just run the numbers. So distributing, that's negative 24x squared. This is negative 24x. This is negative 32. Combine like terms if you can. You can't. This is done. Nice and easy. Multiplying here, that's a positive 24. A squared and a squared is a to the fourth. Multiply, that's negative 30. A squared times a is a to the third. Negative times a negative is a positive 12. And this a needs to follow, so a squared. Distribute here, it's 5x squared plus 30x plus 15. Multiply here, 4x squared minus 28xy. So notice I multiply by 4, the xy needs to stay. Same thing here, we're going to get 24 and the y squared needs to stay. 34, multiply. So it's negative 42. And then now let's be really careful with our variables and exponents. X squared and x squared is x to the fourth, and there's still a y that tags along. Didn't have another y to add or subtract with, but it tags along. Plus 6 times 4 is 24. X squared times x is x to the third. Y times y is y squared. Plus 6 times 6 is 36. X squared doesn't have anything to interact with, so it tags along. Y times y squared is y to the third. Now, if these were the same, if this was x squared and y to the third, then you could combine those. But it's x to the third and x squared, they're different. Okay, multiplying here. Positive 12, x to the third, that's an x to the first. Positive 18, x times x is x squared. The y just tags along. And then positive 6, x just stays, y squared. Last two. Pretty straightforward. Multiply through here. This is negative 6x squared. This is negative 12xy. This is positive 18y squared. And now just distributing a negative. So this is positive 2x squared. This is positive 5xy. And this is positive 2y squared.